kitchen knives, and 70 people by your side. And with those 70 people, you bring the most powerful empire in the world to its knees. This is not a movie script. This actually happened. And his name was Spartacus, the Roman Empire, the greatest power history had ever seen. But beneath that power lay a rotting foundation: slavery. Rome's temples, roads, lavish banquets, all of it rose on the backs of chained human beings. Spartacus came from outside this system. Born in Thrace, disciplined and fearless, he was a soldier. He had served in the ranks of the Roman army, until one day, the empire ordered him to attack his own people. He refused. He fled. He was captured. And overnight, he went from soldier to slave. He was sold to a man named Lentulus Gladiator, who ran a gladiator school in Capua. Ruthless, calculating, reeking of greed. To Gladiator, Spartacus was nothing but an investment. But from day one, everyone could sense something. This man was different. In the arena, he was unlike anything anyone had seen. Gladiators and trainers alike looked at him with admiration. He became famous throughout Capua. Then that fame reached Rome, and an invitation arrived from Rome. Gladiator would send his best men to perform at a show in Rome. A grand arena, a roaring crowd, and absolutely no mercy for the defeated. For Spartacus, this was a death sentence. 73 BC, summer. One summer night, the plan was set in motion. Initially, 200 gladiators
Please subscribe and like now.
were expected to join, but the plan had been leaked and the guards were on high alert. Still, 70 men refused to back down. What did they have? Kitchen knives, clubs, stones. They neutralized the guards one by one. They seized the weapons depot, and they walked out through the gates of Capua like free men. The revolt had officially begun. Spartacus and his men took refuge on the slopes of Mount Vesuvius to stay hidden. Surrounded by cliffs and olive groves, it was like a natural fortress. There were 70 of them at first, but as word of the revolt spread in every direction, slaves began flooding up the mountain. 70 became 1,000, then 5,000, then 30,000. The Roman Senate dismissed it. It'll be over in a few days, they said. They sent an inexperienced nobleman to deal with it, Gaius Claudius Glaber. He had a force of 3,000, but most were untested soldiers, some of them volunteers. His mission was simple: surround the mountain, starve them out, take them captive. His fatal mistake was equally simple: underestimating Spartacus. Spartacus led his men around the back of Glaber's camp and launched a midnight raid. Panic swept through the Roman lines. As swords tore through armor, the army collapsed. Glaber was defeated. The humiliation echoed all the way to Rome. This was no longer just a slave revolt. It had become an open challenge to Roman authority. As news of the victory at Vesuvius spread in every direction, new recruits poured in from every corner. The army swelled to 80,000, nearly a quarter of Rome's total military strength. The Senate dispatched a new force under two prominent consuls. Spartacus ambushed them as well. One army was annihilated in a surprise night raid. The other was trapped and destroyed on a forest road. Rome was burning. Roads were being shut down. Trade was grinding to a halt. Beneventum, Nola, Metapontum, Thurii, one city after another. One city after another. But Spartacus had no interest in Rome itself. He just wanted to go home. Thrace, freedom, that was all. Tension was simmering within the army. Some wanted to raze Rome to the ground. Some were after plunder. Some wanted revenge. Spartacus's comrade Crixus was part of this divide. He wanted to march into Rome and bring the empire down. Arguments dragged on, with no resolution. The army split in two. Crixus stayed in the south with 30,000 men. Spartacus headed north with 50,000. Rome seized on this division immediately. Veteran general Lucius Gellius marched a disciplined force of 40,000 against Crixus, the foot of the Gargano Mountains. The slave army, exhausted from long marches, was driven back with every charge. Crixus fell in battle. His army collapsed entirely. By the time the news reached Spartacus, he was already deep into his northern march. In the eyes of the Senate, there was only one man who could erase this shame: Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome, a ruthless politician, a commander brutal enough to go down in history. He was given a battle-hardened, disciplined army of 50,000. Crassus secured the southern passes of the Alps. Spartacus tried to break through, but failed. He lost 6,000 men and was forced to retreat south. New plan: Sicily. The island was Rome's grain basket and had a long history of slave uprisings. Spartacus struck a deal with pirates. Money changed hands. Passage was arranged. The pirates took the gold and vanished. Spartacus was now trapped in a narrow corner of the south. Crassus moved fast. He constructed a 60-kilometer defensive line across the narrowest point of the peninsula. Trenches, walls, the Roman navy closing off the sea. Surrounded on land and sea, hunger set in. Morale crumbled. But Spartacus breached the defensive line in the dead of night and escaped. The circle was closing from every direction now. Crassus pressing from behind, Pompey closing in from the west, Lucullus landing in the south. Spartacus sent a letter to Crassus offering terms. Rejected. 71 BC. The banks of the Silurus River. The slave army stood at 50,000. Exhausted, their resources spent, but still free. Spartacus stepped before his men and spoke one last time. Today we leave this place either as men born free or we die as warriors who fought free. The assault began. Wave after wave crashed against Rome's wall and broke apart. As casualties mounted, Spartacus drew his sword and charged alone towards Crassus's command post. He cut down 2 senior officers, but he never reached Crassus. They closed in around him. He fought with everything he had, and he fell. The slave army dissolved. 50,000 lives were lost. Rome suffered 12,000 casualties. General Crassus had 6,000 rebel bodies crucified along the road from Capua to Rome as a warning. Rome had won, but it never managed to erase the name of Spartacus because his body was never found. Searched for months, never recovered. That mystery turned him into a legend. Some said he had survived the battle. Some said he was still out there, somewhere, free. Rome wrote everything down. Its victories, its emperors, its gods. But the name Spartacus refused to be buried. A man in chains became history's greatest symbol of freedom. If you don't want to miss stories this intense, this real, subscribe now. A new legend from the past is waiting for you.